Hey, he is on your right, Brandon Zadzilka. That's a last name I like. The Zadzilkanator, is that it? That's not anything, is it?
You can Google it.
Yeah. Fabiano Zadzilka. That's going to kick off round number 1 today as these two players are at the very top of the standings. A blooming marsh is where we will begin. Botanical Sanctum here for Fabiano.
And this will be an interesting test for Gerard because his deck, a little light on spot removal, 2 main deck copies of Vraska, a Nicol Bolas, a Nissa Vital Force, multiple main deck copies of Confiscation Coup. This is for the mirror.
Sure.
He is trying to get an edge there. Is his deck fast enough to be able to hang with a deck that's much more efficient, much faster?
Fetid Pools was land number 2 there for Brandon. Not ideal for the second land drop, as he'd like to get on the battlefield a little bit early, but he does have a Rogue Refiner that may or may not resolve. Essence Scatter is a card that does get play in the format, and Gerard does have one of them to take care of that.
2 in the main.
So Essence Scatter does take care of the Rogue Refiner. We'll be heading back over to Fabiano here in just a moment, who's all bundled up with his big coat and hat on.
It's a very northern Jersey look.
Yeah. that can't be comfy to play in. Maybe I'm wrong.
It's nice.
Rootbound Crag here for Fabiano into a Whirler Virtuoso. 3 energy here for Gerard on his 3rd turn of the game, which means, of course, he can make a Thopter if he'd like. We'll be heading back over to Zadzilka here in just a moment, who is not very quick to the battlefield this game, Patrick.
Yeah, that Essence Scatter from Fabiano was huge.
Back over to Zadzilka we'll go. He's picked up a copy of Long Tusk Cub. No energy yet here for our Sultai energy player. He'll play a Swamp. That's land number 4. Now, of course, part of the benefit of playing Sultai is you get access to cards like Hostage Taker. For now, he's got a Winding Constrictor. And now that is a Long Tusk Cub. So 2/2 drops. And just a passing of the turn back over to Fabiano. Fabiano's going to draw a card. He'll be heading his way for his 4th turn. Ether Hub will get him another energy. He's up to 4. And this might be Chandra in just a moment. And it is. So he's going to lose an energy to cast that. Should fall down to 3 energy from playing it. So we'll make sure his energy is where it should be. And there goes the Winding Constrictor.
And so far, so good from Fabiano here. Has a 2/3 and a potential 1/1 against the Cub with no energy. And Zadzilka kind of already running a little lean on resources here.
Yeah, Zadzilka's hand not particularly good. Does look like he has a copy of Vraska's Contempt. There's a Rishkar. Looks like another Cub and a Push. Winding Constrictor may have been the best thing he had going on, though.
Yeah, his hand was pretty well set up with Rishkar. If the Winding Constrictor was able to survive, but Zadzilka does need to get to that Planeswalker, and he would need to clear out a 2/3 and a potential 1/1 token to do it.
Yeah.
So probably at least a turn away from that.
We'll take a look at Vraska's Contempt, a card that doesn't see a ton of play in Standard. You generally see it in control decks that I guess Shaheen Sarani likes to play, is the way I'll put it. It's going to be cast right now, targeting Whirler Virtuoso. You're going to see Fabiano use his energy from the Virtuoso to make a Thopter token. So there is the Thopter for Fabiano. You see that Vraska's Contempt can exile target creature or Planeswalker, so could have killed Chandra if you wanted to. Gain 2 life, of course, instant speed. Electing to take care of the Virtuoso and the Thopter. Cub, of course, not able to get to the Chandra just yet. Fabiano looks like he's going to gain some mana off of Chandra. This looks like a big spell coming. Black mana, perhaps, for Vraska. Indeed. So Vraska, Relic Seeker, will enter the battlefield. It will tick down. And now this is where things get difficult for Sultai Energy because there's not 1, but 2 Planeswalkers.
This is about how you would draw it up from Fabiano's side. Kind of having an answer on curve to all of Zadzilka's plays, and now way ahead with 2 Planeswalkers. And we're done here.
Yeah, you think that we're all set here?
We are done.
This is probably just too much for Brandon to come back from. You see the Fatal Push in his hand. That one's garbage.
Fabiano's hand also contains other cards.
Ah, right. Right. And Long Tusk Cub against those Planeswalkers, not
Firing back.
not so much right now here for Brandon, unfortunately. Fabiano going to survey the battlefield. You saw Vraska enter the battlefield and kill a Long Tusk Cub. Now Fabiano is going to play a Harness Lightning off of the Treasure plus Rootbound Crag. So there goes Cub. Fabiano will be up to 1 energy here when all is said and done. He'll untap 2 active Planeswalkers. Now it's all about just kind of wrapping things up here for Gerard. His life is pretty good for the 4-color energy player who, as you mentioned before we went on air, no Long Tusk Cub.
No, he's playing
Gerard.
a very controlling build, as you can see. Lots of Planeswalkers in the main deck.
Maybe a little surprising there as Vraska will make a 2/2 Pirate with Menace. Chandra will be used here momentarily, I'm sure. First is going to be Rogue Refiner for Fabiano, so 2 energy and a new card for Gerard. And the top card is a hub, so 2 damage will be dealt via Chandra to Brandon. Down to a starting life total of 20. It's basically a tie game if you take a look at the life totals here.
Yeah, that is how that works.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just clearly tied up. Clearly tied. We're going to go over to Brandon here, who's just played a hub of his own, so he's finally got some energy this game. That's good. Let's see what the big follow-up is here.
Well, he has a removal spell and a Grey Ogre and a card I can't identify, a foil of some sort.
Yes.
There you go.
There it is.
Love it.
There it is. Gerard Fabiano is going to win game number 1 here over Brandon Zadzilka. 4-color energy and the power of Planeswalkers. Too much for Sultai Energy to overcome. And for Brandon, he's just got to get to the battlefield earlier.
Yeah, he was just a little bit off curve that game, and I think really the Essence Scatter just determined that one.
Yeah.
Going through your 3rd turn with nothing on the battlefield, Fabiano answering your best play, and then you're going to play a Warlord Virtuoso. The Planeswalkers those were the highlights. Those were certainly impressive, but I think that game got determined in the opening turns.
Well, these players are going to sideboard and get ready for game number 2. We're going to come back for game number 2 in just a moment, but for just a few messages from our sponsors. To the sideboards we go here between Zadzilka and Fabiano. We'll take a look at what Brandon is working with first. 3 Duress, 3 Deathgorge Scavenger, 2 Essence Scatter, 2 Nissa Steward of Elements, 2 Die Young, a negate, the Scarab God, and an appetite for the unnatural.
Seeing that many Planeswalkers in the main deck, I would want to have the negate and maybe even go to duress. The one copy of the Scarab God seems good here, and the Nissa, Student of Elements, probably for any slower matchup.
We'll go over to Fabiano, who's got 3 Chandra's Defeat, 3 Negate, 2 Deathgorge Scavenger of his own. Popular little dinosaur in sideboards here this weekend. 2 Vizier of Many Faces, 2 Cartouche of Ambition. That's the black Cartouche, of course. 2 Search for Escanta, and 1 River's Rebuke. Very controlling sideboard, too.
Very controlling sideboard. I think the River's Rebuke and the 2 copies of Vizier seem fine here. And, you know, if Fabiano thinks the game's going to get slower and grindier from Zadzilka's side, if he's bringing in more reactive cards, I could see Search for Escanta coming in as well.
Well, those are the options there for both players, and game number 2 will be underway here in just a moment. Again, Brandon Zadzilka will be on the play. He's at 7-1 with Sultai Energy. Gerard Fabiano, our lone undefeated player here in our Season 2 Invitational main event. He's on 4-color energy, but as Patrick did mention, a much more controlling build.
Yes, this is a post-board and on the draw.
Yeah.
No Cubs, no beatdowns whatsoever.
Multiple copies of Essence Scatter, splashing the Scarab God. Has a main deck copy of Nissel Vital Force and Nicol Bolas God Pharaoh. So his build is very unorthodox. He's looking to play longer games off the power of Planeswalkers. And thus far for Fabiano, it's worked. He's not lost a match in Standard or Modern. Makes me wonder what he's playing in the Modern portion of the tournament, but I'm sure we will find out soon enough.
I've heard rumblings.
Oh, yes? Talk to me.
It's a bit of a Todd Anderson-style teamer box deck.
A teamer style box.
I think Tarmogoyf, Cryptic Command, and the related cards.
Those are cards that I like. I'll tell you that much. Well, Brandon's going to take a mulligan, so we'll learn about our lone undefeated player here in Gerard Fabiano, the 34-year-old from Belleville, New Jersey, with 10 open top 8s, 5 wins, invitational top 8 as well. Most Planeswalker points of anyone in the United States, a former anti-smoking truth tour marketer. He's a high school teacher, too. Pretty darn good Magic player as well is Gerard Fabiano, 8-0, top the standings.
We first met at New Jersey State's 1999.
Nice, nice. Never forget.
I believe in the 2-0 bracket, which many bystanders, because we went to time, many bystanders described as the worst played match they had seen in their life. I recall hearing that.
That's okay.
That's okay. Gerard got me in 3.
A young Patrick.
Mono green Stompy versus mono red Smokestack Land Destruction.
You were the Smokestack deck, weren't you?
Yes, I was.
Yeah, that's nice. That's nice right
Ranker
there.
on Albino Troll.
That
is game.
That is game
you
over.
can't kill the Albino Troll, and the Ranker covers the Smokestack.
That's infinitely. Yeah, infinitely.
That came up.
No 2-drop once again here for Zadzilka. It is a tough start. He's got a couple copies of Winding Constrictor, but no black mana as he draws a card. He finds an Attune. So that'll find the black mana he's looking for.
I hope Gerard negates this.
Well, Patrick is hoping for a negate. That's not going to happen.
Come on, Gerard.
He's already got the energy out.
Come on, Gerard.
He is picking up his deck.
Gerard is definitely of the negating the Attune is in his wheelhouse big time.
Understood. Understood. We're going to see the Swamp come down here in just a moment for Brandon, I'm sure. And perhaps a Winding Constrictor as well. Got to play something. I'll say that much.
Yeah, so you can... The card with the highest ceiling in the hand is probably the Siphoner.
Okay.
And if you think that Gerard, he's misses a land drop, he's missing colors, that's your best shot of running away with the game right away. The Winding Constrictor, you care a little bit less if it dies, but the Siphoner gets worse as time goes on.
Sure. Well, Winding Constrictor's in, and now it's dead via Harness Lightning.
I think my instinct there is probably to play the Siphoner because it has the highest ceiling right now and gets worse over time, whereas the Winding Constrictor maintains more value in later turns. But it's not super clear.
Fabiano with a hub into Rogue Refiner. He's out of energy. Now he's back up to 2 energy. He draws a card. He'll pass the turn back. Let's go back over to Zadzilka. He's had some trouble getting started in this match.
And now Gerard is 2 for 2 in essentially breaking serve on Zadzilka's first play and having something proactive to play the battlefield the following turn. And since he drew Aether Hub, if he has an Attune to go in his hand, now basically all of his mana is locked up and he's ready to go.
There's Glint-Sleeve Siphoner. Up to 4 energy goes Zadzilka. He'll pass the turn back over to Fabiano, who will draw a card. Fabiano was very early on the Planeswalkers last game. We'll see if he has maybe a Chandra again this game. Mana base does look a little wonky for Gerard right now with no like green lands out there like Botanical Sanctum or Forest, but he's operating just fine thanks to the hub. Rogue Refiner going to come in here for 3. Zadzilka going to fall down to 17. Now here's a tune. Going to go down to 1 and now up to 3 energy here in just a moment with Fabiano. I wouldn't be surprised to see Basic Forest be the land that he's looking for.
Yeah, then he's up and running.
Not that he's had too much difficulty up until this point, but this is just going to make things much easier, and there is the Basic Forest. We'll see what comes next from our 4-color energy player who's undefeated on the weekend. Yeah, this Salt Energy deck, it's got to get on the battlefield a little bit quicker than Zadzilka has done thus far. As Fabiano will play that Forest. And now there's another copy of Rogue Refiner, so he's going to be up to 5 energy, potentially. It'll actually be an Essence Scatter here from Brandon, means that that will not resolve. Now, do you want to be using Essence Scatter on that as opposed to maybe Glorybringer and company? That's a good question.
Definitely. I mean, especially with Gerard playing with so many like 7-drops in his deck, I think Rogue Refiner is one of the most important cards.
Fair enough.
He just needs a lot of material to work with.
Okay.
Zadzilka got paid off for his discipline here. He was able to draw a card with that Siphoner. I was not optimistic that that was going to happen if he waited the turn, but he was patient and he's up a card for his troubles.
He's up to 4 energy, and now he's got a copy of the Scarab God. So Zadzilka making a little bit of a comeback here. Now Fabiano's deck does have ways to answer that card. I'm thinking mostly of Confiscation Coup at this point. He's got a couple main deck copies of that. He'll play a Rootbound Crag. He does have access to double blue, thanks to the Spire Buff Canals and the hub. But as we have seen in these mirror-ish matchups, mostly energy mirrors, if the Scarab God goes unchecked, we know who wins.
Yeah, it's pretty much game over.
Yeah.
Gerard's list also no Glorybringers this weekend.
Well, fair enough. Something that Brandon does not know, but we do, given access to the deck list. Servant of the Conduit is the play there for Fabiano. He's up to 5 energy. The follow-up after that is another copy of Rogue Refiner, going to go up to 7 energy. He'll draw a card, but this means that the Scarab God will be untapping on the battlefield. Zadzilka will pay 2 energy to draw a card. A life 2, of course. And now he'll draw another card for his turn. Picked up a copy of a Tune, among other things hiding out over there. Here is a Tune. He's going to move up to 4 energy now and search up a land. Hasn't played a land yet for the turn. Just wants to make sure he knows what he wants to get. Got a couple of options of things he can reanimate from graveyards here. There's a Rogue Refiner over in Gerard's graveyard. There's a Winding Constrictor in Brandon's graveyard.
Go get Rogue Refiner.
That's probably a good choice, yeah.
Just keep doing that.
Yeah, just do that in perpetuity, as you like to say.
Yeah, just
if you can.
Every time that is an option, just do that.
Yeah. Get a new card. Have some more fun for your troubles.
Though, you know, Zadzilka still has to respect the Planeswalkers.
He does.
He saw that of Fabiano's deck in game number 1. Against, I think, some of the more medium builds of Temur Energy that don't go quite as large, you would feel pretty confident from here that you were ready to run away with the game. But, you know, Fabiano's shown some larger cards than these decks typically have.
Well, the Scarab God is attacking. Hello. And I think Fabiano is happy to triple block here. Yeah. Because even if Zadzilka has something like Vraska's Contempt, he's still going to lose his creature. Now, he'll get it back eventually, but not sure I like this attack because that means he doesn't get a Scarab God activation either. No? It looks like he is going to get a Scarab God
activation. Yeah, he's got the form. He can go ahead and do this.
Okay.
I mean, I get that, you know, it sets Zadzilka down a little bit here, but it seems to me like this is just such an awesome conversion of resources. You know, Gerard's down 3 cards. He's down mana now. You still have an extra body on the battlefield through the Scarab God activation. So you're hedging a little bit against a Planeswalker as the follow-up because you would still have 1 threat ready to attack the next turn.
Sure.
And just like strictly on a card economy basis, this just looks like, how do you turn this down?
I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, just make sure you get the Servant of the Conduit off the battlefield.
Yeah, just get that out of here.
You don't want Gerard working with the mana.
The Scarab God's going to go back to Zadzilka's grip. So you're okay with that exchange?
Oh, totally.
Okay.
I mean, the alternative is what? Just say go and like wait, I guess?
Sure.
I don't know. It doesn't seem great to me. And this game is right now being played on a slow enough timeline that, you know, recasting the Scarab God and having to wait a turn is not a big cost.
Well, Zadzilka is going to watch Fabiano search up a land with a tune. As Gerard goes up to 9 energy. There is a basic forest.
And that block from Fabiano, if you're on Zadzilka's side, may represent Essence Scatter. Like, why was Gerard one to commit so many resources to a block there when it just comes back the following turn? And with Zadzilka getting back a Rogue Refiner and now getting to draw another card off the Siphoner, he should have other options with his mana than just recasting the Scarab God if that's what he's concerned about.
Fabiano going to play an island. That's not the land he searched for. He searched for a forest. Don't forget that. And now Gerard's got some real thinking to do because, you know, the Scarab God is looming here. And now there is Nissa Vital Force, a card we do not see a ton of. Is one of in Fabiano's deck. This is the Planeswalker build that he has. He's going to untap that island. It'll be a 5/5 elemental creature with haste. It's still a land, of course, and it's going to get some beatdowns, perhaps. Maybe it's going to play a little bit of defense.
Yeah, it's interesting. I thought, you know, Zadzilka was kind of hedged against the Planeswalker coming down because he would have the extra Rogue Refiner from the activation. But so Nissa comes with a blocker on the ready right away.
It does. Remember, that land stays at 5/5 until Gerard's next turn. So that island that is untapped is a 5/5.
So this will be a big test here. That Nissa plays 2 roles here potentially. One is just having an extra blocker every turn while Fabiano tries to get to his large plays. And the other is just making that emblem and starting to grind the game that way.
Yeah, if we're going to play that style of game, a little bit longer here.
Because if you can cover the Scarab God with something like Essence Scatter or, you know, just being able to have enough resources to play through it, then that emblem can run away with the game.
Winding Constrictor is where Brandon will start his turn. Let's see what we have here.
Stone Rain, yeah. Yes, go get that island.
Is that a copy of Die Young?
Yeah, it's Die Young,
Yeah.
and he's got enough energy that gets that island.
Boy, look how happy you are.
I gotta check to see if that's a space on my board.
That is Die Young in an island?
Die Young and Island?
Yeah, it's not on your board.
No. No spaces, but still very rewarding to watch.
Great song by Kesha, too, which is really, at the end of the day, all that really matters. Rogue Refiner is going to jump in front of the Eternalized Rogue Refiner. It'll lose that battle. Nissa going to fall down to 4. And Brandon, you see his hand. There's quite a few lands over there along with the Scarab God. So he'll play a Blooming Marsh and pass the turn back over to Fabiano. So Fabiano doesn't have to worry about the Scarab God just yet. He's still got an active Planeswalker, but he is behind on the battlefield, and Glintzy Siphoner continues to allow Brandon to draw multiple cards per turn.
Yep.
Fabiano taking a little look at the graveyard here. Of course, Nissa can return things from the bin. There's Whirler Virtuoso.
It's nice for Fabiano. That's a lot of chump blocking.
11 energy for Gerard. He can make a couple of 1/1 Thopters here to get the chump block party started, as Patrick did mention. And now perhaps he's going to make a land into a 5/5 here with the Nissa. And this game has all of a sudden, become about maybe protecting Nissa.
Oh, or with Zadzilka at 14, you make this attack,
Okay.
and you have a bunch of Thopters. Fabiano might be just pivoting to a race right now.
Okay.
If he doesn't feel like he can win the long game, if he doesn't have an answer to the Scarab God, this might be his like next best line. And if Zadzilka has to spend resources on his attackers here trying to attack Nissa, well, that puts Fabiano even further ahead in the damage race. He can just focus on Zadzilka's life total.
Zadzilka's going to fall down to 8 from the Glint Sleeve Siphoner as he wants another card.
It's really important in all these energy matchups that we've watched. Even Fabiano's deck, which is way more controlling. You would assume not really interested in damage racing at all. The game has just taken that shape kind of randomly. Fabiano's identified it, and now he's going down that line. And it's really important to remain, I think, adaptive in these games because they are just, it's different from game to game. And things like the exact nature of what's on the battlefield and what the opposing life totals are at, it all influences how you should be playing the game. And Fabiano looked like he was trying to go control, 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 control. And now with that Whirler Virtuoso is taking a different line.
Well, one thing he's pretty good at doing, he's good at identifying what's going on in the game and shifting accordingly.
Yeah, he can't win this long with the Scarab God and the Siphoner having drawn so many extra cards. I think Fabiano feels, and Fabiano's tight on mana, so his big plays are off the table. I'm not saying he's necessarily going to win this game, but I think he's identified the line that gives him the best shot.
Long-Tusk Cub, Scarab God, and lands, it looks like here for Brandon in hand. Not all that enticing. We got a Rogue Refiner coming in. Fabiano's going to make a Thopter to chump block, it appears, and he will. So he had 11 energy. He's fallen down to 8.
And Zadzilka with no removal spell, it looks like, for that Whirler Virtuoso. So the Siphoner and the Winding Constrictor aren't able to attack.
There's the Scarab God again. And that looks like it's going to resolve. Here's a Long-Tusk Cub. Now don't forget, in combination with Winding Constrictor, can get a little bit bigger. And he'll just pass the turn back. Fabiano's going to use a little bit of mana here. Going to fall down to 7 energy. Harness Lightning is going to bring him up to 10. And then down to 5. And the Scarab God will be coming back eventually, just not right now. So we're going to head back over to Gerard. He's untapping all those lands, and he will draw a card.
I'm a little bit surprised by Gerard's line of play there, just because I thought he was kind of on the path of just make a bunch of Thopters and race, and he's pivoted a little bit and used his energy and some other cards just managing the battlefield for a little while.
It does make you wonder what Gerard's working with in his hand a little bit then.
For sure. Because I thought, based on what he'd done the previous turn, that he was just going to say, yeah, you can attack Nissa, don't really care, make a bunch of Thopters, try to attack you down that way alongside my maybe a 5/5 land.
He's got 5 mana. Maybe he's got a Scarab God of his own. He does. So the Scarab God wars are real. Nissa going to go up to 6. Rootbound Crag will be untapped. Land will be another Rootbound Crag. And pass. Zadzilka is going to get back his Scarab God. There we are. Untap. And now he'll pay 2 energy, down to 7. Negate and Rogue Refiner, it looked like.
Some material to work with.
Yeah. I think Rogue Refiner probably the better of the two right now. I don't know if Zadzilka still has Hostage Taker in his deck after sideboard. Be a pretty good spot to have one, though. A lot for Brandon to think about on this turn.
Yeah, I mean, the question is, do you just play? Are you thinking I'm definitely just going to play the Scarab God this turn? It's just too much, or do you play your Rogue Refiner first and try to hit something like Vraska's Contempt, which would be great here?
Well, he hit another Rogue Refiner, I think. Got some more energy for his troubles. Now his turn can just be Rogue Refiner, Scarab God, go, which isn't a bad turn.
But with the amount of mana that he has, I think it's kind of mopey to play the Scarab God and not activate in the same turn.
Sure.
I would kind of want to get to enough mana where I can play the Scarab God and threaten to activate, or leave up Negate as appropriate, rather than just play the Scarab God on the battlefield and say go.
We got a Rogue Refiner and a Cub going after Nissa.
Particularly because, you know, there's no guarantee that the Scarab God amounts to very much, so I think you kind of want to get your value out of it.
Well, here are the
Guarantee
blocks.
at least a little bit of value out of it.
Sure. Here are the blocks. Slapner in front of Cub, and then the Rogue Refiner in front of the Scarab God. Excuse me, the Scarab God in front of the Rogue Refiner. So the Rogue Refiner gets nothing done there. Maybe a curious attack with that 4/4 into the 5/5. Maybe hoping that Gerard was scared of something like a Blossoming Defense, but he clearly was not. And now we're going to head back Fabiano's way. Now, Zadzilka does have mana at the ready. I'm curious what his plans are with that.
I think he still has a copy of... He has a copy of Negate.
Okay. So Fabiano's going to get back the Rogue Refiner. It'll be eternalized. Thanks to the Scarab God. So the Scarab God's starting to get to work now here for Fabiano. We saw Zadzilka use his a little bit. Now we're seeing Fabiano use his. Nissa up to 7. This shelter thickets the land for Fabiano. He'll pass the turn back. Let's go back over to Brandon. Brandon's going to pay life. He's down to 6. 2 more cards. Forest Attune. He's been drawing 2 cards a turn basically the entire game now.
Yeah. He has not found anything that high impact, though, besides his copy of the Scarab God.
Again, we are not sure if he has Hostage Taker in his deck after sideboard, but I would like to believe that he does, because it would continue to be very good right now if he did. 5 mana leads me to believe the Scarab God is on the way, and it is. That's going to resolve for Brandon.
I think the big card that Brandon could really use right now is Vraska's Contempt.
Yes.
That's the big hit.
He'll attune as he's going to go up to 9 energy.
You know, Fabiano's leaning very heavily on this Nissa and the Scarab God to give him enough resources to stay in the game. And Zadzilka also would not turn his nose up at 2 life right now.
No, he would enjoy 2 life.
With the Scarab God and Whirler Virtuoso, you know, that's the risk here is Fabiano can kind of hold the fort down, what he has on the battlefield, and swing around and kill you in 1 turn if your life total gets too low. But Zadzilka really does need to keep drawing his extra cards with the Siphoner to have enough resources to work with. So,
Long Toss Cub has got some interest in attacking. And this one's going to go at Gerard, not Nissa. Doesn't care about the Planeswalker anymore. I think maybe resigned to the fact that the Planeswalker is going to be on the battlefield for a little while.
And honestly, this might be a fine spot for Fabiano to chump block with the Whirler Virtuoso, because he would not mind getting the something back that provides him 3 energy for another Thopter. He can chump block here and make a Thopter, and then that Whirler Virtuoso is ready to come back through the Scarab God.
And then, of course, well, that's tough, right? Because Brandon can use his Scarab God to get the Whirler Virtuoso.
He has a response window there.
Yeah, so there's a little bit of a gamesmanship here. And it looks like no blocks have been declared by Fabiano. Now, Fabiano had a healthy light total. He's at 18. And Brandon could, he can have a little fun here with the Cub in combination with the Winding Constrictor. Make this thing a little bit bigger. He's going to dump some amount of energy in here. Do it again, do it again. So 3 +1/+1 counters are actually going to make it 6 +1/+1 counters. So you attack for 8. Fabiano's going to fall down to 10. That's a pretty big hit.
Yep.
Then he'll get some energy back, so he's back up to 6, given what happens when Cub hits. Now, here's Harness Lightning going after the Scarab God. Negate is going to stop that. And I believe that was Fabiano's best card in hand. Not his last one, but it appears to be his best one.
So this is not the worst spot for Fabiano here, even though I'm sure he wishes that resolved.
Okay.
Now Zadzilka's down to only 2 mana, so Fabiano does have a free opportunity here to activate the Scarab God if he's feeling so inclined.
It's very true. Zadzilka is going to fall down to 5. Fabiano has found a card that he likes. Scarab God working overtime for both players. There's a Harness Lightning.
Also keep in mind Zadzilka now in range of Nicol Bolas.
It's true. That's not.
It would be a very Gerard way for this extremely complicated game to end.
It couldn't be more of a Gerard way. You see that Zilka's hand, the cards he's shuffling between there. Couple of lands.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we could see the God Pharaoh win this one here for Fabiano. It could happen. That's Rivers. Jeez.
Oh boy.
That's game.
Oh boy.
That's Rivers Rebuke. That is going to do it. Because that's going to make Zadzilka pick up everything. Gerard Fabiano going to win this game and match over Brandon Zadzilka. 4-color Energy going to take care of Sultai Energy, and both players, they worked themselves into a very grindy affair, but Gerard had some advantages there. Rivers Rebuke maybe the most important of the bunch.